Jack Dorsey, I guess he was in his yurt toking it up because he was completely MIA in all of this. He had no idea what his subordinates were doing, apparently. At least if you go by the information that was given here, he had no clue what was happening. They were all just running crazy. It was a mutiny under him. And he was pretty much absent from any of the decisions that were made about suppressing that story. And one of the things Taibbi noted is that there were a ton of different instances of Dorsey intervening to question why is this account being suspended? Why is this being moderated? Why is this happening to these accounts that are on this side of the political spectrum? There was a lot. I mean, this was not done completely by Twitter's own discretion. This was done because Democrats in government demanded to have more online censorship. They believe that, well, as they said in one of the emails, the First Amendment is an absolute. That's a pretty terrifying thing. I mean, they had these, I mean, it's just insane, the discussions. I was reading these emails. Khanna was he kept bringing up the First Amendment. He was saying this seems like, he literally wrote, quote, this seems like a violation of the First Amendment principles. He added, quote, if there is a hack of classified information or other information that could expose a serious war crime and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have that right. A journalist, he added, should not be held accountable for the illegal actions of the source unless they actively aided the hack. So to restrict the distribution of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in the keeping of principles of New York Times versus Sullivan. And Khanna adds, I say this as a total Biden partisan, convinced that he didn't do anything wrong. But the story now has become more about censorship than the relatively innocuous emails. And it's become a bigger deal than it would have been. And he said, it is also now leading to serious efforts to curtail Section 230, many of which would have been a mistake. Democrat Ro Khanna is 1,000% right. And he, sadly, was the only one in this entire discussion, all of these Democrats, he was the only one to push back. He was the only one who showed any kind of concern. That's terrifying. And you had Democrats saying, oh, well, the First Amendment is an absolute. And it was weird because Vijaya Gadde acted as though the concern about any First Amendment was irrelevant. It's entirely irrelevant. First Amendment is an absolute. Man. And the crazy thing is even after Jack Dorsey had to get involved, do you remember how long it took to unsuspend people who had been suspended? I mean, I still basically have like a penalty on me. You know, the little birdwatch thing, I couldn't do that because I had been wrongly suspended. So all the people who were wrongly suspended of this, I guess there's like a Twitter file somewhere and you have a mark against you. It's like the social credit score with China. Just unbelievable. And the way the media spun this, they tried to act like, oh, well, it didn't come through the regular mainstream media channels, so it's irrelevant. That's the press trying to desperately, one last attempt to control the narrative. It is so pathetic. Do you remember what they were all saying about all of this? I went back and I found some tweets. I remember the Rolling Stone magazine. They were acting as though this wasn't a big deal. This is a nothing. Remember, NPR said that it was not. It was like basically a local story. Rolling Stone said on October 21st, 2020, quote, "Vile, baseless conspiracy theories are spreading about Hunter Biden, and despite pledges to curb misinformation in the lead up to the election, social media sites aren't stopping them." Are they? I asked them. I said, "Are y'all still feeling good about this tweet?" I'm curious. You had Mehdi Hassan, who's some guy I'd never heard of, who's host a show I've never heard of on MSNBC, a network I never watch, had said on December 3rd, quote, "Elon Musk, who never seems to do any TV interviews," this just 2 days ago. He says, "Elon Musk, who never seems to do any TV interviews with actual journalists asking tough questions, is doing a glitchy Twitter Spaces conversation with some fans right now. I tuned in and listened to them discussing whether Musk is going to get assassinated and then tuned out." He goes, "Musk hasn't done a single major sit-down TV interview since buying Twitter. My whole point was, why in the ever-loving hell would he sit down with any of you activists who grift as journalists after all of this? You people are clowns. You're the reason why we're in this situation to begin with. I hope he never sits down with any of you clowns."